Aloha everyone. So we finally have an update on Maui's Bill 9, which is the proposed legislation to phase out short-term rentals that operate in apartment zoning here on Maui. After a couple months of not receiving any updates, the County Council has now released a report from a temporary investigative group, or TIG for short, that was assembled to investigate the economic and social impacts of the bill so that they could potentially recommend zoning changes or suggest other improvements to the bill. And this report does give us some very important updates because it provides clarity as to which properties on Maui they currently intend to ban short-term rentals in and which ones might be rezoned to a new hotel zoning that they're calling H3 or H4. And that upzoning would allow these properties to continue to operate as short-term rentals into the future. Now, I'm going to break down that new list for you in a second, but before I do, it is so important that everyone understands that these are not official changes. These are just recommendations from the TIG, and it does not officially change the proposed bill until those changes are approved by the County Council. So nothing is set in stone by any means. With that being said, the TIG report did include a detailed spreadsheet of exactly which apartment zone properties they think should be rezoned to hotel. I'm going to share a link to the full TIG report in the description so you can see it for yourself directly from the source. The spreadsheet with the list of properties is called Exhibit 2, and it's the very last page of the report. Now, to make the list a little easier to decipher, I created a list of Exhibit 2 properties that's organized in alphabetical order, and I'll throw that up on the screen now. Again, these were the properties that the TIG report suggested should be rezoned to hotel so they can continue to operate as short-term rentals. Now, if this list doesn't change, it would reduce the number of short-term rentals that would be phased out by about 64%, from 7,167 units that were proposed in the original Bill 9 to around 2,588 after you remove the Exhibit 2 properties. So this is a big change, but again, I caution everyone that this list does not officially change anything yet, and we certainly are missing some very key details on how much the rezoning would cost the properties and the timeframes that it would take to make these zoning changes, just to name a few of the concerns. So as of right now, we are still left with a lot of questions. Okay, so those were the properties on Exhibit 2 that the county is currently saying could be rezoned to hotel. But which properties did not make the list and would still have their ability to short-term rent phased out? Well, in order to answer that question, we need to start with the Minatoya list of apartment zone short-term rentals and then remove the properties that are listed on Exhibit 2. And that gives us this updated list of properties that could be impacted by the short-term rental phase-out. Again, I organized it in alphabetical order to make it easier to find the property that is of interest to you. And I'll also share both alphabetical lists in the description so you can sort through them at your own pace. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the criteria is that they used to pick the properties that went on Exhibit 2, but I definitely think that there should be more properties that are clearly resort properties and should be allowed to continue vacation rentals. Ultimately, this does feel like a step in the right direction as we went from over 7,000 properties that were to be phased out to just over 2,500, but there's still certainly more work that needs to be done. And again, it is so important for me to emphasize that this list is not official and it doesn't change anything yet. But when will we get more clarity on what the final Bill 9 will actually look like and if it will pass at all? Well, there are some rumors that the next council meeting to discuss Bill 9 might be on November 7th, but as we all know from past experience, that date could get pushed back even further. So we are definitely still several weeks away from anything becoming official. Of course, I'll do my best to keep you all informed every step of the way, so if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel for future updates. And with that being said, even though it isn't official, I'm sure the TIG report and Exhibit 2 will still have an immediate impact on our real estate market here on Maui. Now, I understand that this can be confusing for both current owners and potential buyers to understand how each property is affected, especially when you consider that there's another list of properties that is already hotel zoned that were never at risk of being impacted by Bill 9. So I do encourage you to review the full TIG report, but regardless of whether you're a buyer or a seller in this market, if you have any questions about which properties belong on which list and how that impacts you, feel free to reach out to me directly. The easiest way to do this is by filling out the contact form on my website, so I'll share a link to that contact form in the description, along with all the other information that I already mentioned. So that's all I have for you in this quick update. If you appreciate these timely updates, please make sure to hit the like button to support the channel and share this video with anyone you know who already owns real estate on Maui or that might be considering buying in the near future. With that being said, I hope to see you all in the next video. Aloha.